Periodical retraining of the machine learning model is necessary to prevent staleness. As the input data distribution changes, the performance of the model will most probably weaken over time. It is highly recommended to iteratively retrain models on the most relevant data available to ensure they are accurate and up-to-date. Depending on the frequency of data variations, update the model manually or schedule an automatic model update. For the purpose of automatic scheduled retraining on latest data, you can model a workflow in Infor Desk. The Coleman task available in the Workflow Modeler toolbox offers the following task types: reload datasets, retrain model, update production quest, and redeploy endpoint. By applying all 4 task types in a sequence flow with reference to one particular quest, you have scheduled a model update without user interaction required. However, you are not constrained for any alternative scenarios you may require. For example, you can model complex workflows which may contain tasks related to different quests, or schedule reloading datasets in one workflow while other processes are contained in another. Additionally, other steps can be added, such as user tasks, notifications, decisions, etc. The Workflow Scheduler offers a lot of flexibility in terms of how and when you want these processes triggered based on your specific needs. Setting up a workflow schedule allows for automatic model updates according to a desired frequency. In this video, we will demonstrate an end-to-end process for the purpose of automatic scheduled model update. Before starting to model a workflow, make sure you have service account credentials that will be applied in the context of task executions. To acquire the service account, go to User Management, Manage, Service Accounts, and download the service account credentials. Navigate to Ion Desk and select Monitors and Workflows, and then Workflows. Click Add on the Overview page to create a new workflow. Specify name and description. Add a Coleman task element to the workflow diagram at the point where a task should be executed. You can apply one or multiple Coleman tasks into the flow. Configure the Coleman task parameters. Select one of the task actions from the drop-down menu. Reload datasets, which triggers reloading of datasets from Infor Data Lake. Retrain model, which triggers rerunning of the training quest. Update production quest, to request updating the production quest after the model has been retrained. Or redeploy endpoint, which updates the model endpoint. All processes are identified by the quest name, so select the quest by name from the drop-down menu or specify a workflow parameter that contains the quest name. Import the service account credentials file. Select the Test tab to execute a test, which will validate the configuration for the Coleman task, the quest name, and the service account. Select the Settings tab and specify how to handle errors. The Workflow Continues will allow the workflow to continue to the next step in case of an execution error. Selecting the Workflow Fails will allow the workflow instance to fail in case of an execution error. This option is the one that makes sense in our case, as it is pointless to execute the subsequent processes when, for example, the dataset had failed to reload, since we don't have the latest data in the system. For each Coleman task, you must add a new step to the workflow. Repeat the same process as necessary for every Coleman task. To have a complete orchestration of automatic model retraining, use all 4 task types for the same quest and in the same order as they are listed. The first step should be reload datasets to acquire the latest data from Data Lake. Second, apply retrain model to rerun the training quest, including those data. Third, update the production quest. And last, redeploy the endpoint. However, keep in mind the workflow modeler allows you to use any number of Coleman tasks, and it does not validate the sequence of processes. So be attentive with steps ordering and configuration, and make sure you apply the logic that is required for your use case. Save and activate the workflow. Navigate to Workflow Schedules. Click Add to set up a schedule for the workflow. Specify name and description for the schedule. In the Schedule tab, configure the workflow schedule frequency. Select the time zone. Specify a start date and time. Specify a recurrence pattern for the schedule. The retraining frequency should go along with the frequency of the variations in the data that we expect to affect the model learning and predictions. For instance, new data on a daily or a weekly basis most probably won't change the model behavior, while monthly, seasonally, or yearly is rather a period where we have possibly acquired new data that is significant for the model learning. The Show Preview button presents a sample of how the schedule will run with the selected options. Now select the Action tab and select the workflow to start. In Trigger Workflow instance, select Skip if workflow is running. This is the only option that will be applied in situations when there is already a process started and not yet completed. Save and activate the workflow schedule. At runtime, workflow will trigger the Coleman task and will wait until it's completed. If the task is completed successfully, the workflow will continue to the next step. If there was a problem in the task execution, the workflow will fail and stop further execution, since that is what we configured in the task properties. The last update of the objects in Coleman AI platform will indicate the triggering from IAM workflows. The endpoint history logs will show an event of updating a Coleman endpoint from a workflow in the same manner.